Like I saw like a social experiment done where they had like I think a woman was being like verbally attacked by this guy, and like he wasn't hitting her, but he kind of like, you know, grabbed her arm, this, that, and the third, and everybody was like coming to the rescue, doing all this crazy stuff, you know, and she was like crying and stuff like that. And there was and they flipped it, and they had a dude coming out, and it was a girl. She was hitting him upside the head. He was just like, you know, just like all boohoo crying. People were laughing.
Yeah, no, I get it, and it's because of the fact that she's just a woman. Like, men are programmed to protect women. So if it's a scenario like you just named, where it's a man and a woman, and the situation is between them, then you're right. Yeah, everybody's gonna run to the woman. Or if she's doing too much to the guy, we're gonna sit back and laugh, because in our head we don't really feel like he's in real danger.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Introspect Club. Club where you can learn a lot about yourself through conversations with other people. My name is Jeff Damisse, and I will be your host today. Now, I've been doing this podcast thing just for a little bit, but one of the common things that I see in the podcast world is a lot of people ask questions about relationships. It seems to be a constant in a lot of people's minds, and it just begs the question, why are people struggling so much, right? I once heard that relationships are easy, people make it difficult, and I'm here to find out if that's the case. And with that, I have a very special guest. Some of you have seen before, very infamous podcast called Krew Season, and the host for the Krew Season podcast is here with us, Trill AC. Welcome, my man. How you doing, brother?
Oh man, happy to be here, bro. Happy to be good.
Dude, it's been a crazy year. The year's about to end, but I want to get into a bunch of things. How you been, man?
Oh, amazing, man. Brand is growing at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
Like, pretty good. Family is amazing. Beautiful daughter. I can't complain, man. Be honest.
That's what's up. I like that. Now, give everyone a quick little introduction to yourself, and then we'll get right into it.
Well, I'm Trill AC, founder of the Krew Season podcast. We are a podcast that discuss relationships, lifestyle, and just culture in general every Tuesday on all streaming platforms. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. Currently ranked top, I think 40 in the country on Apple for the relationship category. And man, I mean, it's been a hell of a ride, man. This thing has turned into something that I probably couldn't even imagine myself, but you know, just happy to be here, bro.
That's what's up, man. You act humble, but I feel like you shouldn't at this point. Like, you got enough like accolades to not be too humble. So listen, I get it. The character lives on, but let me ask you a question though. So your podcast discusses a lot of different things. Like, there's a lot of cultural stuff. There's a lot of political things. There's a lot of relationship things also. But I feel as though a lot of your listeners are really honed in to finding out about relationship questions that they want to get answered. Why do you think people are so focused on that, especially in your audience or just people in general?
Man, I think because everybody can relate to it. You know, at some form or another. We talking about sports, we're going to alienate a certain group.
Right.
Talking about gossip, we're going to alienate a certain group. When you talking about relationships, everybody experiences that, whether you in, you know, 40, 50, 60 years old, or you 12, 13, you're going through something to where you're trying to, you know, you're dating somebody or somebody that you like. And more times than not, it's a disconnect as to why, you know, y'all can't get on the same page. And that's where platforms like ours come in at. So yeah.
I would hope if you're not dating at 12, I would hope not. But I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things when I was in middle school. I think I was a little bit of a late bloomer, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with that. But I respect that, because at the end of the day, like, everybody's got like genuine interest in, not everybody, but a lot of people have genuine interest in connecting with a lot of people. But I think I've spoken with enough people to know that there's a lot of confused people as a whole, because the culture is changing, people are changing at the same time. I think the messaging is also a little toxic depending on how much gets exposed. And a lot of people, I think, are prone to the toxicity, whether they want to admit it or not. But I think a platform like yours gives people a little bit more of, I mean, depending on if y'all are talking about the sleeves or not, a little bit more mature advice. But at the same time, I think a lot of young people in this day and age is misinformed, and I've spoken about it a lot of times. That's why I'm glad to have you here. But on your platform, you said a couple things that I want to make sure the audience understands clearly, and I want to get clarity on, because there are two videos, right? There are two videos where you spoke about some things. I'll play the first one and I'll ask you to kind of elaborate, because I think it's a very important topic that I don't think is spoken about enough. And I want you to dig into it so I can get a feel for your thorough thought on it. And then we're going to play the second video just so I can gauge the congruency and how it all relates. All right?
Gotcha.
All right. So here's the first clip. This is from one of your episodes. Actually, this is not from one of your episodes. This is a standalone clip.
Yeah, I think the number one issue men have with women is we don't feel like it's a safe space created for us to express ourselves. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Like with women, when they go through things, or when a man does something that she doesn't like in a relationship, she has free reign to express to him that she doesn't like it whenever and however she wants, right? And if it's too crazy or whatever, we just chalk it to, oh, she's a woman, she's emotional, But as a man, we have to kind of tiptoe around a woman's insecurities when we're telling her these things. Okay, watch your tone, don't talk too loud, don't be too abrasive. So a lot of men just get to the point like, you know what, I'm not even gonna do it. I don't even feel like arguing. So I think that is what we wish could change and what could improve more when it comes to women. But a lot of women are not open to it.
So I want you to elaborate on that, because you've spoken a lot about accountability and the differences that, men and women go through, and what we are responsible for versus what they are responsible for, at least what they're allowed to get away with. There's a lot of things that you said about that. Why is that such a pain point for you in a lot of the conversations you have?
Man, to be honest, I think it's such a pain point because that's the main disconnect between us. We communicate a lot, but oftentimes that communication is one-sided. It's typically her communicating, us listening. And because men are so used to just being criticized and being, I guess, held accountable for our actions or our lack of accomplishments or whatever the case may be, we're kind of used to it. So when our girl is telling us, hey, you need to improve on X, Y, Z, we take it differently. We take it like, oh, okay, well, I never thought about it like that. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna fix it. Right. But if the situation is flipped, because women are not used to being held accountable and are not used to being criticized, and most women don't take criticism well, if we just gonna be honest, that closes the door for men to communicate. And when we try, oftentimes we'll get immediate rebuttal or immediate flipping it back on to what we're not doing, more so than them taking it in like, you know what, okay, I never thought about it like that. I'm going to try to work on these things. But women get so defensive immediately that a lot of men just shut down. It's like, well, damn, what is the point? And a lot of men get kind of belittled for communicating things that say we may not be comfortable with in a relationship, or, say, for instance, like us being heard, our voice being heard in a relationship. A lot of men don't feel heard in their relationships. And the reason we know it is because men will tell each other, because we all going through the same thing. But a lot of those men won't tell their woman that I don't feel heard, because it sounds, quote unquote, girly or female. You know what I'm saying? Men are expected to just kind of take our discomforts to the chin. Hey, that's part of being a man. You stick your chest out. You tough it out. You do what you got to do to take care of her anyway. Take care of the family anyway. Yeah. And we'll get to your needs later. Yeah. Oftentimes the woman gets her needs addressed on the spot. And I feel like that's the main disconnect between us.
It's crazy you said that, because like I've actually experienced that like firsthand a couple times, right? At least when I was like in my 20s, right? Where I felt like it was safe for me to like express any form of like vulnerability with the person that I was in a relationship with, so on and so forth. And I think And I remember vividly, like, I think in 2 occasions when I kind of express like some form of vulnerability, the person, I'm not gonna name any names, but they know who they are. Like, they deliberately said like, yo, you sound like a chick right now. You sound like a girl right now. Right. And to me, that kind of reinforces the idea, like, I don't have the room to be emotional. Like, I don't have the room or the stage to show any type of expression or any form of like vulnerability in a genuine way, because if it's anything that will make you look weak or anything that makes you look, you know, unattractive to your partner, it's basically a no-no, right? Versus us, we might be more accepting of it because we take on the role of the hard person in the relationship, right? But like, how do you even really combat that? Because this is normalized and it's not really a new thing, right? Because for generations to come, fathers of fathers of fathers has had to be really hard. So it's not like we came from ancestors of like really emotionally mature men that can like effectively communicate their emotions and it's fully accepting. Why is it important now versus before?
Man, to be honest, I think it's important now because this is the information age, and a lot of those generational curses we are starting to break. And the main ones being communication, main was being women's rights, women's abilities to provide and make money and different things like that. So we live in a totally different world than what we used to live in. And now I think it's on us to change. You know, me and the guys have been talking about this a lot in regards to, you know, how do we get over this hump of like men feeling so, you know, contained, or, you know, to whereas our feelings are not being heard. I feel like it's on us to change. We have to make it cool for men to be expressive, and not just expressive on accomplishments or things we can stick our chests out about, or sports or money or a car that we got, whatever the case may be. No. We got to make it normal for us to, you know, voice our concerns like, hey, look, this doesn't make me comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? And whether it be with our girl or with our boys, because a lot of times we don't really get too vulnerable with our boys either. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that plays a part in us not being as close as we may think we are. But there are a lot of boundaries. And I feel like, you know, it's on us in this generation to change those things. And once we change it with each other first, then it'll be easier to change within our relationships, because we won't feel guilty doing it. Because if I can talk to my boy and tell him, hey, bro, I don't feel like you've been being a good enough friend to me, bro. I don't feel like this is a mutually beneficial friendship. Like, that sounds crazy for me to say out loud right now. Right. Talking to two boys. Yeah. But that's a problem, because that actually happens a lot.
Even in your social group?
Right. A lot of times it'll be like one-sided friendships. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, can you take me over here? Hey, bro, can I borrow such and such? Hey, bro, can I do this? But when you need something, they got every excuse in the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the friendships are not as mutual as they should be. But as a man, you kind of got to just, I'm going to just take that to the chin, whatever, man. He wilding, whatever the case may be. I'm going to take that to the chin. I ain't going to express that to him. But that has to change. You know what I'm saying? And that's in line with men being expressive in our relationships as well. We got to just prepare for the bumps and the bruises that's going to come with it. But at the end of the day, we set the trend of what's tolerable. And it's going to be on us to dictate that in relationships. If we start moving that way in relationships, women are going to fall in line, because we are leaders. We are the leaders of this community. So we got to start moving accordingly.
See, what seems a little bit difficult to digest in that whole conversation is, like, I imagine there's instances amongst your friendships where you've had to hold back expressing any emotion on something, right?
Definitely.
So men are very competitive, right? In a lot of ways, when men get together, like, we push each other's buttons just to test the strength of your manhood, the strength of your rigidity, right? Yeah. We crack on each other. We poke fun at certain things. That's just the nature of how we relate to each other as men, and how we gauge the strength of our manhood to each other.
Yeah, that's our love language.
It is, right? Which is wild to me, right? Wild to me. And I have a friend right now. I remember one time I was, I think it was my 30th birthday. I flew down to go see him. Well, I flew down to go skydiving with a bunch of friends or whatever, but he lived where we were flying to. And the way I said hi to him, he was at a restaurant waiting for me. And I pulled up, and as soon as he turned around, I tackled him to the ground and started wrestling, homie.
Right.
I had him in a chokehold. Then he flipped me, and we're in the restaurant. Chairs are clearing out, right? People are like, "What is going on?" And we just like exercising a lot of aggression, and we having fun with it. But we wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like my haircut's all screwed up now, and then at the end we just like dab each other up, and then we continue eating. Like if you saw that from like a helicopter view, you would be confused.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But like that kind of stuff it's not just entertaining to us, but it kind of feeds our masculinity, right? So how do you be that type of person and blend it with someone that's capable of being emotionally vulnerable if you're also having this quasi competitive nature with your boys? Like how does that work?
Well, it's a situation where we got to walk and chew gum at the same time. We got to learn how. You know what I'm saying? It's long overdue, because if you think about it, with your close friends, right?
Right.
Like most of the relationship is what you just described. It's us, chest bumping, wrestling, arm wrestling, throwing each other across the room. But if ever one of us is in a really dire, serious situation, we can make that phone call. But hey, bro, man, whatever the case may be, bro. Hey, I ain't got enough money. I don't know. I'm gonna pay my bills, or my sister just died, bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do, bro. Can I come stay with you for a little minute? Like whenever it's like serious stuff like that, we know how to flip that switch and be like, all right, man, my bro really need me right now, so I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, and it's just understood. Yeah, but that's, to me, I feel like that only falls under the realm of like your close friends, right? Versus like, to your point, I think a woman can do that to a larger audience. You see what I'm saying? For instance, like if you are on the side of the street and something happened to you, right? And you're a woman, you shed one tear, there's like 20 people coming to your aid. 20 people. Right. Right? As a dude, you could be bawling, crying, you could be bruised up, right? On the street. No one's coming to you. In fact, they're going to steer clear of you or probably poke fun at you for like being like a loser or something that you couldn't have handled yourself. Like I saw like a social experiment done where they had like, I think a woman was being like verbally attacked by this guy, and like he wasn't hitting her, but he kind of like, grabbed her arm, this, that, and the third, and everybody was like coming to the rescue, doing all this crazy stuff, and she was like crying and stuff like that. And they flipped it, and they had the dude coming out, and it was a girl. She was hitting him upside the head. He was just like, just like all boohoo crying. People were laughing. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So I think with your boys, I think you might have more leeway to do that, but you would have had to build like a lifetime relationship to have that runway. But I think, to your point earlier in this conversation, a woman will have a larger runway outside of her friendship groups, and it's a natural thing that is nurtured. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, no, I get it, and it's because of the fact that she's just a woman. Like, men are programmed to protect women. So if it's a scenario like you just named, where it's a man and a woman, and the situation is between them, then you're right. Yeah, everybody's gonna run to the woman, or if she's doing too much to the guy, we're gonna sit back and laugh, because in our head we don't really feel like he's in real danger. Right. But flashback to like middle school or high school, whatever the case may be. Like, we all knew a kid that was in school that was getting bullied. Yeah. Right. But me, the type of person I am, I'm gonna step in and stop that. Hey, bro, y'all chill, man. Leave dude alone, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. That's a way that I express my concern for the situation, right? Sure. I wouldn't just sit back and just laugh at a dude that's getting bullied. But that's you. Whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? So, right. But what I'm saying is that I use me to say that it's possible. Sure. And for us to have empathy, because that's all it is empathy. I don't know this dude from nowhere, but I don't like people bullying people. That rubs me the wrong way. And because I feel like I'm who I am, and I'll be able to handle the situation wherever it gotta go, then I'm gonna step in and be like, hey, y'all chill, leave dude alone. You know what I'm saying? But that's a way of me helping him. That's a way of me emoting feelings and empathy. So I say that to say that it's possible, but we have to, as men, take a more firm role, and I guess deconstructing and reprogramming the mindsets of people in terms of like sympathy for men or empathy for men.
Right.
Because in the past, there just hadn't been much.
But see, that's a tough one, because if you use yourself as an example, right, you might have had the emotional maturity through certain experiences, maybe upbringing, or just people that were around you at the time, right? Mm-hmm. But I think as a collective, right, this is just an opinion, but as a collective, I don't think it's a natural thing for you to look at a woman's suffering equally as a man suffering.
No, of course not.
So my thing is, even though there might be some outliers like yourself or anybody else that might want to step up and be the emotional beacon, why do you feel it's a misrepresentation between the two? Because it's not going to be as easy as, okay, it can happen. My question is, why doesn't it?
It doesn't happen because we have to be reprogrammed. Like, we are programmed to think the way we think as a masses. I've used this example a million times. Today, right now, if we are in a room where a function is going on and there are kids running around and a little girl falls, everybody's going to run up to this girl, pick her up. Oh, well, baby, you sure you okay? Da, da, da. If a boy falls, it's get up. What you crying for? Men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? But how did we get that?
Yeah,
that's programmed in us from a kid, from the ages of the kids I'm talking about. So when we fell as a kid, we got that. Hey, boy, get up. You a man. Men don't cry. Men don't show emotion. Men, you know what I'm saying? Men wipe that off and keep going. So that's programmed in us. Right. So it's going to take reprogramming for us to change that. So it's possible. We may not see it in our generation, but we can plant the seeds for further generations for us to be able to express ourselves more often and have a bit more empathy. But it all comes from teaching shit. We gotta learn our mindset from somewhere.
Yeah, but do you feel as though like that mindset, although could be considered negative now, was effective for what was going on in the past? Like when there were we're talking like wars, famine. We're talking about like people who had to like deal with what nature brought you when you were like nomads, being chased by predators and so on and so forth. Right? I can't see a world where your emotions are going to solve those problems. Right? I think you have to be a little bit more hardened in order to survive, as well as make your family and the rest of your tribe survive. And if we evolve with all of those things programmed into us, and those things also lie in the bed of like what makes us men, which is our masculinity, right? How do you reprogram something and still make it a viable thing when you still have to compete in some way, shape, or form? How do you do that?
Well, the thing is, like, two things can mutually exist.
Okay.
I think we speak in absolutes. In reality, even those men back then, they had emotions. Men today, they have emotions. Men are damn near as emotional as women, but we channel it in more deconstructive ways.
Yeah.
If you look at like murder rates and killings and shootings, you know, different things like that. Like, men are more prone to kill you over a woman than they are money, right? Which logically, which we supposed to be, we would be, okay, if you playing with my money, then that's way more reason. But I done seen dudes get robbed and take it to the chin. But if somebody smashes girl, she ready to shoot up the whole apartment complex. Men are emotional, but it just comes out the wrong way. And I feel like that's what we got to change. That's what I mean by it's possible. We have it in us. We just channel it improperly because of how we was raised and how we was programmed.
So that makes me beg the question, which kind of leads me into the second clip that I want to play. I'm going to play it and I'll tell you why it's important to this conversation that we're having. And it's a clip where you mentioned something that we will need to discuss. All right, hold on.
Yo, I feel like we as men got to put a little more time and energy into being leaders. I feel like most of the issues that we have in terms of relationships stem from the fact that most men are not leaders. A lot of men feel like just because we're born men that leadership is a birthright. That's just simply not true. And the reality is women are looking for somebody to take a back seat to. They're looking for a man to lead them, a man that knows where he's going, a man that has structure, a man that has a plan, But if you don't have those things, how can you expect a woman to ever take you serious? That's just like going to the airport and buying a ticket, but the lady says, hey, the pilot's never flown before, he's never practiced, he doesn't have GPS, he doesn't know where the hell we going. We just gonna get up there, pray, and freestyle. You're not buying that ticket. So how can you expect a woman to do that exact same thing with you?
Well, I like how you said
that guy's articulate, man. He's good, man.
I like how you listen to it like, yo, who is this guy? He sounds charming.
That guy's good, man.
That's good. Put him on your shoulder, man. I mean, that guy's good. So first, I want you to elaborate on what message you were trying to convey and why you felt it was important to share.
Yeah, man. I feel like men are not really taught to be leaders at a frequency that's high enough. I feel like men are taught to do a lot of things as far as getting money, as far as pulling women, as far as learning how to compete with each other, but not necessarily lead. It's just like in sports. You could have 53 men on the roster, but it ain't but a couple leaders in that locker room. Now, all of them have been trained to compete. Yep. All of them have been, trained to do their sport, but leadership is an intangible and also it's something that's kind of programmed in you. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of taught to be that way. And I know a lot of it typically comes from the father being in the home and the father showing you, hey, boy, you go your own way. You don't be no follower. You don't do nothing. You need to set your moral code as this. Don't fall short of that moral code for nobody. I feel like that's something that's programmed you. But when you don't have a father in the home, which a lot of us don't, if we just gonna be honest, you don't really get that. You get more of a emotional way to handle things, or because that's what you see. You see your mom, and again, it's no knock against mothers because mothers are doing what they can. Right. As far as like a man and being a leader of a family, it's only so much that a mother can teach you about. You need a man that has showed examples of leadership himself, so you can buy in. But more importantly, him to be able to relay a message. Hey, you are a born leader, and this is what leaders do. And you need to move according to this guideline and this moral structure and this and this and this. I had that, but a lot of my friends didn't. Right. And if you look at our lifestyles today, the disparity can be explained a lot of times with just the father being in the home and setting an example. So that's what I meant by that. We need to put way more emphasis on teaching our young boys how to be leaders, even if it's not our son per se. We all got nephews. We all got little cousins. We all got, little homies in the neighborhood or whatever that like look up to us or whatever the case may be. We need to be able to teach them something more than, how to go sell these drugs, or, this how you fight, or, you need to pull this woman. This how you have sex. You do this. We need to be taught more than that. We need to be taught leadership qualities and stuff that can actually push us forward as a culture. And I don't feel like a lot of that happens today.
Wholeheartedly, I agree with you 1,000%. Wholeheartedly, right? But the reason why I played the clip, right? Although what you're saying is, men got to be taught to be leaders. That's why, women won't trust a man if he doesn't have direction, structure, this, that, and the third, right? Mm-hmm. And that clip by itself is great. The first clip by itself is great. Now, when you put them together is where you have, I wouldn't say incongruencies, because everything you're saying is right, but it creates a certain challenge that I don't think people know how to really move around, right? You mentioned when we played the first clip about how, men need to have the ability to express themselves at the stage and so on and so forth. And then you also said that, like, when you are a kid and you fall, people are like, get up, toughen up, man up, this, that, and the third, which kind of falls in line with the second clip of like you saying that, fathers need to teach men how to be leaders. And unfortunately, the way that we are taught to be leaders oftentimes strips us away of our ability to be emotionally connected, right? So the strength that we are taught to have comes with the baggage of not being able to show vulnerability. Emotions are often linked to what you're vulnerable to, right? So especially if you're talking about in the realm of a woman who is looking for you as a leader, I have a couple questions. First question is, if a woman looks for you to be a leader based on how structured you are, right? Knowledgeable, right? And how courageous you are in certain situations, how do you maintain that leadership while being vulnerable and exposing your vulnerabilities? Because a lot of people don't respond well to that.
Again, we are speaking in absolutes.
Sure.
Like as a man, you should be able to do both.
Right.
I'm not saying that you do them both evenly.
Right.
No. As a man, like you need to kind of shift that pendulum a little more because, and I say that because even like the men that are in the household, like the example of the boy falling, right? A lot of men in previous generations taught us solely how to be just cold, cold, non-emotional machines.
Yeah.
That's what they taught.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, that works in career and that works in, competition with other men. But when you get into a relationship, being an emotionless machine, it'll work to the detriment of your relationship. Of course. So my point in both of the videos is, as men, we have to teach both.
Yep.
In the past, we have not taught both. And that's why we have a lot of the issues that we have today. It's very possible to be a leader and to express vulnerability. It is. But again, that's not saying you wake up every day and you complaining and being vulnerable 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're going through stuff, I mean, it's a reason why men had a high suicide rates and mortality rates are what they are, especially for Black men. You know what I'm saying? Because our culture just, makes therapy taboo. Yeah. So we don't really have no way to get it out a lot of times because we're raised to be emotionless machines. But I feel like going forward, when I have my son, I'm going to raise him to do both. Now, you still be a leader. You still set your moral code up and you still, whatever the case may be. But if it's something bothering you, you express that to whoever, man, woman, child, whatever. It doesn't make you less of a man, because, I mean, I don't even want to go that lane. But it doesn't make you less of a man. Because if it comes down to it and you have to be a man and step up and be a man and whatever that may be. Yeah. Again, we ain't gonna say too much. I don't want to spin it that way. But whatever that may be, you'll be able to step up and be a man in that situation. But at the same time, in your relationship, you need to be able to express your vulnerabilities and all of that. And that doesn't make you less of a man, in my opinion, is what I'm saying.
And absolutely not. But I think where a lot of men struggle, and I don't want to speak for all men, but I think some of the conflicts is, where do you draw the line? Like, I think women would appreciate some form of vulnerability, but every woman's got a threshold, right? Like what's acceptable, because especially at the beginning of a relationship when they don't know the full depth of your strength yet, right? So if at the beginning you're expressing any form of vulnerability and that is the package that you come with, that might not work in your favor, right?
No, the threshold is?
What is?
Kenny said something that was very profound in the last podcast. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was something to the tune of, women want you to be vulnerable until they're the issue of the vulnerability.
Yeah, I remember that. That's
very profound. Because that's what that threshold that you're talking about is. Like if you have a woman, right? Y'all in a relationship and you're expressing to her, hey baby, I feel like, man, I ain't, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing at this job, or I don't feel like I'm progressing at this job a lot, or I don't feel like, I'm being the best brother that I could be to my sisters, man, or, I ain't called my moms in like 2 weeks, man, or my grandma, I ain't went to go check on her. Like they all for that vulnerability. Yeah. But when it's you expressing vulnerability, hey baby, I feel like you should be doing this more, or I feel like I'm not getting this from you, and that's making me, more checked out of this relationship. That's where the issues come in. Okay. And I feel like that's more of a them problem than a us problem. We shouldn't stop being, expressing ourselves just because it's going to make her feel away or it's going to make her feel defensive, which is what we've been programmed to do in the past. And that's why we have the issues we have. But that threshold, again, is oftentimes when they're the reason for the vulnerability. That's when they take issue. But outside of that, if you're expressing yourself about any other things, they're going to be cool with it. I mean, as long as you're taking care of your responsibilities as a man that you agree to in that relationship, they couldn't care less. Women want you to be expressive to them and cry on their shoulder and all that crazy shit.
Yeah, but up to what point though, man? Like, let's be real. If you meet somebody today, right? Mm-hmm. Within the first, I don't know, 2 weeks, right? You got something going on in your life. Aside from like maybe somebody died or something like that, but just like something that you weren't able to manage on your own properly, right? And it's frustrating you, and you're getting emotional about it. You're expressive about how much, you know, it was a failure on your end, or how much you are struggling with something, right? Are you saying like women are just as equally into you when you're being that expressive at the beginning versus if you hold off on that later on? Or what are we talking about?
See, again, it's levels to the vulnerability and express. And I think that's why we having our disconnect that, because with you when you hear vulnerability from how you explained it to me, you talking like, okay, I'm vulnerable 24/7. Like, this is who I am. Like, every other sentence is me speaking on my, vulnerabilities and my downfalls and my this and my that and my this and my that. Yeah, I mean, sure, hell no, you don't want to be around nobody like that. If you just you in vulnerability mode 24, I wouldn't want to be around a woman like that.
Right. You
know what I'm saying? So again, but it's about levels. It's about measurement. If we talking about crying, are you familiar with Allen Iverson?
Yep.
Right. Allen Iverson he cries in every other conversation that he has, whether it's an interview, whether he's talking about basketball, or he's talking about his upbringing, he's crying. When he sees players that used to be cool with in the past or whatever, he cries when he hugs them, and he's just a very emotional guy.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Right. But nobody in their right mind will look at Allen Iverson and say he's any less of a man, because he's shown in the most clutches of situations, in the most manliest situations, he done stood tall and did what he had to do. But him being emotional is a part of who he is. But that doesn't make him any less of a man. So that's what I mean by that.
And that's perfectly fine. But like, Allen Iverson has enough accolades to do whatever he wants, right? But most men walking into the room for the very first time is not going to carry that into a room with them without, someone preaching about how great of a man he is. So I think at the very least, the introduction of a man doesn't really start with him like boohoo crying about something. I
agree.
Right. But
you don't disagree though.
Right. So, and I'm not saying it's something that happens every single day. I'm just saying, like you said, there's levels, right? And you're tipping the scale where the proportion of how much vulnerability you can show is not the same as the proportion that you can show to a woman. I'm not saying to be emotionless. I'm saying the proportion of strength versus vulnerability that you can express or expose is a lot less than what a woman can, for lack of better words, get away with in terms of being able to express, right? And I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or whichever, or it should be the same. I'm just trying to determine how much of it are you saying we're supposed to be vulnerable, and how much of it is supposed to be the strong leader in our relationship and our families. Like, what proportion is acceptable? And it might be different for different people, but how does a guy judge that?
I mean, if I had to quantify it, I'd probably say maybe 70-30.
70-30.
Like that.
Okay.
Again, when it's and it's not necessarily you boohoo crying or whatever when you're expressing things. It's you sitting your woman down and being able to have a mature conversation, look in her eye and say, look, I feel like I'm not getting this from you. And I feel like, because I'm not getting this, it's making me check out this relationship, or I don't look at this relationship the way that I used to, or I don't feel wanted in this relationship because you're not paying attention to things. That'll
trigger a woman quite a bit.
Any criticism will trigger a woman. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But we got to get used to doing it anyway.
No, trust me, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for a while, for decades, for past generations, men wouldn't even do that. Men wouldn't even sit a woman down and say, I feel like, that you're not paying enough attention to me, or I feel like you're not putting my wants and my needs at a high enough priority level that I feel like it should be. You know what I'm saying? Men wouldn't even do that. Have that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like that has to like change. Yeah. And it has to change drastically. But men just need to become more comfortable expressing ourselves in general. If not, our relationships are going to continue to suffer. Or men going to keep dying at 42 like we've been doing in the past because we holding so much in. Yeah. And it's just like we trying to keep up this tough facade and this because this is what my daddy taught me or this is how my grandpa moved and this is what your daddy taught you that. True. But him and your mama got divorced and they didn't stay together. They was married for 5 years, 10 years. Or
he was an alcoholic the whole relationship. Right. That's how he vented his issues. Or now he's in jail because he did some stupid stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or grandpa was married 50 years, true. But the last 30 of them years, they couldn't stand each other. But they would just stand together just because that was, that's all they knew. And they living in separate rooms, sleeping in separate rooms.
Or the relationship was abusive because it couldn't get, no.
You know what I'm saying?
That's very fair. That's very fair. And at the end of the day, it's up to each man to understand exactly what threshold he's comfortable with. Right. And I think what's even more important is to find a woman that matches what you're giving in a way where if you're one type of vulnerability, you need to find a woman that is capable of nurturing that.
I agree.
Right? At your level, right? Because you shouldn't necessarily have to change how vulnerable you feel you want to be. You just need to be aware that there's going to be a pocket of people that is sustainable in your life with that type of way of being, right?
I agree. Everybody is not in your tribe, and I think a lot of people just get caught up with that in general, trying to please everybody.
Right.
That's not your duty, and it's an impossible job to do. I'm gonna just be honest. You'll never please everybody. Everybody is not gonna like you. I don't care what you say. You can say all the right things. You can do all the right things. There's gonna be somebody that's saying, "Oh, he frauding."
Yeah.
Or hey, he ain't. You know what I'm saying? He ain't all he cracked up to be. So whatever. So you out here trying to please everybody? Hell no. I'm big on people that are in my tribe. That's who I'm speaking to. Even with the content that we put out, we get a lot of backlash, whatever the case may be, and that's perfectly because I feel like I'm telling the God's honest truth. And if it comes down to a debate or anything like that, like I tell people all the time, like I don't speak from imagination. I speak from experience. I've lived it. I've done it. I've seen it up close. So anything I'm saying happened. It's not a ideal situation. It's not a hypothetical. It's not a what if or maybe. It's not that. I've seen it. I've done it. I've lived it. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that disagrees or anybody that feels away, I don't care, essentially, because you are ignorant to what my experience is or what a lot of people's experiences is, or a lot of people, even the ones like supposed to be experts and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But they speak in ideals.
Yeah.
So what good is you giving me an ideal scenario or you giving me ideal advice if when I walk outside my door, this world is not ideal? And that's what a lot of people get caught up at. And I feel like that's why I guess my platform and me and, the guys are so, I guess because we stand out so much, which is confusing to us. We shouldn't stand out as much because all we doing is just giving blunt, raw honesty. This is what reality is. I don't care how things are supposed to be. They are not that way. So if I give you advice on how things are supposed to be, and you walk outside and that's not how they are, what good is the advice that I'm giving you?
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? But
so you're basing that.
A lot of people do that.
So you're basing that on a lot of your experience. And I imagine that the experience you had, your boys had, and people in your circle kind of shape your ability to be blunt and honest. Right. So in the spirit of being blunt and honest, all right, I've had a few questions come up in my DMs, text messages, because everybody knows, or who knows, how I communicate on some of these platforms. They want some advice on things, right? So we're going to take this opportunity, right? I was going to answer them directly, but I figured I'd get the god of answering questions on the platform to get some of these questions answered, because I feel like some of the opinions that I might have, it might not automatically align with yours, but I'm curious to see if it does, right? So I'm going to get into the first question. So
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everyone. My name is Francesca, and I have a few questions about dating in this generation, especially in 2022. So I wrote down a few questions, and I'm going to read some out to you guys. All right. First question is, what are the categories that men put women in? And can you go up in these categories if you're at the bottom?
Okay, men put women in one of three categories.
Okay.
One category is you have absolutely no chance at all of us ever doing anything ever. Like,
Okay.
I don't even want you as a friend. I don't want you around me.
Okay.
That's one category. Another category is, you are cool. I like you a lot, but I don't see this going anywhere past sex. We are just going, that's what it's going to be. But in terms of a serious relationship, no. Now you can be cool. We can kick it, whatever the case may be, but I will never be in a serious relationship. You don't have that potential. And then the third category is you do have the potential of us being serious.
Okay.
Like, okay, I see enough in you to where it's like, okay, I can see a future with us. I can see, you tagging along with me and helping shape my legacy. I feel like those are the three categories that men put women in. Now, can you change your category is what the question is?
Yeah.
To be honest, you can, but I can hit the lotto as well.
Shit.
At the end of the day, it's all about percentages. And to be honest, once a man categorizes you, you have a very, very, very low percentage of changing said category. We just gonna be honest.
I mean, that's true, but I think there's also scenarios where, like, let's say, for instance, if a woman is in a relationship with a guy that's in a bad marriage, right?
In a relationship with a guy.
In a relationship with a guy that's in a bad marriage. I've seen it. Seen it, right? And I've dated women who told me they were in those scenarios in the past, right? Like, a lot of times a guy will be in a marriage because it's cheaper to keep her, but his emotions are drawn to somebody else because he's already disconnected with whoever he got married to, right? So what category do you put that person if the guy does like her, but he's just in a situation?
I feel like if, as a man, you like that woman enough and you really feel like that's the right move for you, nothing's going to stop you from doing it.
Okay.
But I feel like, as far as leaving that marriage and going to be with her, but I feel like in that situation that you named, it's real easy to put somebody on a pedestal when you deal with them in moderation.
Yep.
And that's what be the issue. It's like, okay, yeah, my wife, I'm dealing with her every single day. So I get to see all the bad sides of her as well as the good.
Yep.
But with this woman, every time we kick it, we smashing, we having sex, we doing fun things, we going on trips, we going out to eat. She's saying all the right things, whatever the case may be. And it seems that way.
Yep.
Because I'm not dealing with her 24/7.
Yep.
So I feel like she's in that category for a reason. And oftentimes as a man, if you were to leave that marriage and you are unsure, you leave that marriage and you go be with her, you will quickly find out that she was way better being your side chick than your man. It's just honest.
Damn. What about the categories, like if a woman is like just the guy's friend, right? Not somebody that he doesn't want to be around, huh?
That's gonna be hard for me. I don't believe in platonic friendship.
Okay. Why?
Well, because I've tried it repeatedly and it always goes left. Somebody falls. Somebody shows flashes some interest. I feel like platonic is a situation to where neither one of us are interested in each other at all. I feel like very rarely, especially when you are attractive or if she's attractive.
Yeah.
One person, like if the opportunity arose, especially with y'all being friends, like because who's more familiar with, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are very familiar with each other if y'all are friends. Right. So if the opportunity arose and they gave them a chance, they would dive at it.
Yeah.
Most men in that situation with an attractive woman or whatever the case may be, or vice versa. Shit, I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of jades me to platonic friendship. Now, I'm not saying, again, nothing is impossible except for living forever. But the percentage I'm very big on percentage. The percentage of that relationship being sustainable without nobody trying the other ever is very low. So that's why I don't believe in it.
Huh. So to answer your question, whoever wrote that in, if you're at the bottom of the category, switch lanes, go somewhere else. All right, because you're not gonna get what you want, and I've been in those situations. I've had like people in my circle that like showed interest in me, and I didn't like reciprocate, right? Mm-hmm. And I can see when the person expressed frustration, but in reality, I'm like, yo, like this, like I'm dating other people. I'm bringing other women around you. Like it's very clear in my mind, like, especially if I told you like, yo, this ain't it. Right. But I think a lot of people aren't really being blunt in saying that, similar to what you said about like being mindful of the woman's feelings and stuff like that. And I think that's the reason why she asked the question, because a lot of times people aren't really that honest. Like, hey, I don't like you. You are not my person. Keep it moving. Right. And so many different words. But I think we don't say stuff like that enough, or aren't open to saying it, especially if it's someone in your social circle for whatever reason. Like it's a friend of your boy's girl or something like that, or whatever the case may be. So it can be very touchy to really be really expressive about stuff like that to some people. But I'm all about being blunt, but some people it's not like that.
And I mean, I agree. And real quick, I mean, we just gonna keep it honest. Like, men have way more depth when we are determining like who we gonna be with forever. And that's why it's hard for a woman to graduate. And I say that in comparison to a woman, right? Because we see this situation all the time. Women dating the it guy, the guy with the status, the guy with the money, whatever the case may be. And a guy that's on a lower level tries to shoot at her, and she's like, hell no, you ain't got a chance. But fast forward 10 years, that guy that she was, the athlete, the team captain, the football team, whatever, he done fell off. He done, gained weight. He ain't making no money, whatever the case may be. And now that lower level tier guy that elevated himself money wise. And we've seen that woman is way more willing to jump on that ship. But with men, not so much.
Wait, hold up. But what if a woman, what if a woman elevates herself in how she looks physically, right? In how she carries herself. Like, I've seen that happen, like, numerous, not all the time, but like there's women who like they not popping in high school, they not popping in college, but they glow up for whatever reason, right? So if, let's say you're in that zone where I want nothing to do with you when you are like not your best self, right? And then you spin the block, right? 5 years later, you lost weight, you got like, your clothes done, you educated, now you know how to be charming as a woman and more attractive. Does she have a shot to like elevate now?
I would say it depends. And this is why, right? I'm speaking in terms of longevity. Okay. Right? And a woman could glow up and be the most beautiful woman in the world, but beauty alone is not going to keep a man interested and focused for the long term. Or let me rephrase, it's way less likely to keep a man for the long term than on the opposite end, a man that has money. If a man is filthy rich, a woman is way more likely to stay with him, even if she don't like him no more, whatever the case may be, because women value lifestyle and financial security over everything. Now, men do value beauty, true. But again, we know beauty is going to fade. And you, just like me, have experienced plenty of pretty women. And once you get tired of having sex with her, the allure is gone. If you're not bringing me anything else. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by that. I think that women are way more likely to stay in a situation like that with that guy that done glowed up or whatever the case may be, because he got money now, he got financial security, compared to in our situation, if this woman was ugly back in the day, now she fine, we gonna kick it with her for a minute, we gonna smash, whatever the case may be, but she may be missing some of the key stuff, like intangibly, that we need for her to stay around, and we way less likely to stay with her. As a matter of fact, it's a high chance that he gonna cheat on her, then stay with her a long time. We gonna be honest.
Wait a minute, hold up, no. So here's where I might have to disagree, right? I'm not talking about the woman that is the cliche. You're good looking, but you got nothing else going on. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the woman who's got stuff going on It's just right now she's not physically attracting the men that she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then she decides to fix up whatever she had physically, whether she had messed up teeth, she got braces. She had a lot of weight. She lost weight. She's still educated, right? She's still, an intellectual. She still knows how to treat a man and so on and so forth, but she didn't know how to get through the door.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if she spins the block and she takes care of all the entry level things, I'm not saying to only have that, right? So if you see, come on, everybody had a friend in high school was like, some of your best female friends were the ones you weren't attracted to. Just is what it is, right? But God forbid you come back in college or you come back after college and the person that you vibe with crazy, but you weren't physically attracted to them, they come back around and now they gorgeous. Now you like, this a whole package. To me, is that not an opportunity to jump categories?
I would say it is, but the reason that I would be hesitant to do it is because you could change a lot of things. She can get her weight in shape. She can get her braces. She can clear her face up. She can do all that. But you know what's not going to change?
What?
That insecurity within her. Regardless of how she looks now, she going to still see herself as that chick back then. And that insecurity is going to shine through. So the risk with that, which is what I tell a lot of guys, like you got to be careful when you dating chicks from your past. Because oftentimes like they may seem different, but they ain't changed too much. Like her looks and stuff change or whatever, but she still see when she look in that mirror. Most chicks, and we just gonna keep it all the way real. I mean, how much surgery they get, they still look in that mirror and see that person who was less than. Yeah, and that could be a problem in a relationship. To be honest, and men are again. That's what I mean by
that's crazy to say.
And are way less willing to stay there and deal with that compared to a chick that's staying there and dealing with that from a dude that's rich.
Yeah, but that's. Because that could be a dangerous state of mind because you're almost saying like if you glow up, it might still hurt you to glow up. You're better off staying the way you are.
No. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the percentage of people that actually glow up physically don't glow up mentally. And that's what the issue is. It's a low percentage of that. And that's what I mean by playing percentages. Okay. Like, sure, like it would be nice if, that person that went and got that, because we know plenty of women these days, chicks out here getting boob jobs and BSLs and all kind of stuff. But mentally, about as sharp as a box of rocks. You know what I'm saying? Because they doing a lot of work on the outside, on the physical, but mentally they're about as interesting as watching paint dry.
She is smart as a CD case.
So as men, of course, we gonna sample it. Sure, we definitely gonna smash. But as far as us staying there with that, hell no. And again, a lot of them women that was cool, besties, cool back in the day, but she just was a little too big or a little whatever. That insecurity will travel, bro. Yeah, trust me.
All right, listen, I respect it. I respect it. All right, so I got another one.
My second question is, do men judge you if you have sex on the first date? Or does it depend on how attractive you are to him and the chemistry you guys have? And will he be able to take you seriously, even though you guys were intimate on the first date? I've always heard other women talk about how they met their husband and they were intimate on the first date and everything worked out. And I also heard other women say they were intimate with a guy and then he either ghosted or dipped out on them. So that would be my second question.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on your attractiveness and chemistry. I think men judge you more so not about the sex you give up on the first date, but how you move after. A lot of women tie a lot of significance and a lot of entitlement to sex. So they'll give you that sex on the first date, and then 2 days later, she talking to you like she your girl. She questioning you like, she owns you or she's entitled to you. And I feel like that's what men typically shy away from. It's not necessarily the sex on the first date, but because we done had chicks to where you will have sex with on the first date and she keep it just as G as you. So now you chasing.
And you like, insecure as all hell.
Damn, she didn't call me this week. Last Sunday. I ain't heard from her all week. Now we question it. Now we chase. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. It's about how you move afterwards more so than that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's like a young guy's thing. like a 17, 18, 22 year old thing. But men in our 30s, bro, we when we run into an attractive woman in our 30s, and she's 30, we automatically assuming she'd have been around that block.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or more times than we comfortable with. But we don't care to ask. Whatever, because we done been around that block.
Yep.
As long as there ain't nobody that I know or one of my homies, you good. If it's one of the homies, hell nah, you out of there. But if it ain't one of the homies, it's not my business. So I think that's what more the mindset is. It's not about the giving up sex on the first date. How are you moving after? Are you being annoying after? And a lot of women, most women are. And that's what gets you pushed away and ghosted.
I got some pushback, right?
Go for it.
I don't think it's necessarily what you do after, even though that is important. I think it's just as important, if not even more important, what you're doing before, right? I've always said, and I've said this to somebody also, when women ask me, how long should you make a man wait before having sex in order for him to take you seriously? And I always tell her, like, it's not so much how long you make him wait. The question is, what are you doing while you're waiting? Right? Because you can make a man wait a year. He'll just wait a year to smash, and then you'll be tossed to the side in a year. Right? He'll play as long as it's not a complete detriment to his lifestyle, he'll wait around, he'll hang out, do all this stuff. If he can afford it with his time and his money, he'll do whatever as long as he gets to put it on his notch, right? If you make him wait like a day, right? Or even less than 24 hours, right? You could say that, okay, how I move after is going to keep him around. But if he didn't get a chance to really see what he could get beyond, he might take the smash and not even give it a chance because that was his only, how do I say this? In his mind, he's like, he conquered something because he didn't get a chance to really witness anything else. And you might not get the stage again. So I'm not saying you make the man wait forever, but at the very least, you should have enough of yourself displayed in a way where you are a contributor to his life in a positive way, where he'd be like, okay, even if you could do that in a day, do it in a day, right? Where you can display that value to him. If it takes you a year, then it takes you a year. But at the very least, while he's waiting, you're doing something that makes him say, even if I smash you, all this other stuff that you got going on, I like that too. And I want that too. Right? To me, that's the disconnect. It's not so much what you do after, because you might not get the after.
So essentially, again, I gotta provide some pushback because it's
push back.
You're dancing around time. You're saying that if it takes you a day to show a man everything he needs, let's be honest, it's not gonna take a day.
I'm thinking hypothetically speaking.
Which I get. So if I had to back you into a corner,
okay,
and say, give me a specific amount of time before a woman should have sex with a man, what would you say?
A specific amount of time?
Specific amount of time that she should wait.
See, now you speaking absolutes, right? Because
that's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to speak. My answer is, how long do you need to exhibit value to a man? It depends on that.
It's different though.
And I feel you. So that's the thing. If you're a woman and you smart and you're paying attention to the man that's courting you, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of men where if you can tap the right buttons and you really get to know that man, whether it's through conversation on the first date, second, third, or the 8th month or whatever, and you paying attention to what he likes, what he's into, what he values, and what he hangs on to. If you can accomplish that, if you have the skill to accomplish that in a day, that's your skill. But yes, to your point, most people don't have that skill. I've met somebody with that skill, and I was in a relationship with them. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, I smashed on the first night, but then I had such a great time with the person, and she was so cool, and she looked out for me in so many different ways on the first date. I was like, you gotta be, you know what I'm saying? But that's just what I was connected with, right? For some men or for some women, it might take more time. So that's what I'm saying. It depends what it is you're capable of exhibiting in whatever period of time as a woman with the person you're with.
Right. And again, I would say like if we gonna talk about percentages, if you're gonna play,
man, love percentages.
I do because again, we can't speak in absolutes, and I like to. I know a lot of people say, "Oh man, what you're saying is anecdotal," but I disagree. If you ask any man, he will say the same thing. We are driven by our ego.
Okay.
So the whole point of conquering her that you spoke about earlier, like you can only conquer somebody if you are able to dictate the board after the smash. But if you smash her and she's still dictating the board, we don't feel like we've conquered her yet. We feel like, oh, she still feel like she in control. And most men have ran into one, well, I ain't gonna say most men. A lot of men have ran into a woman to where even, when we was in our thought days, whatever, hey man, I ain't really looking for no relationship. And she say, well, I ain't looking for one either. Cool. And when, as a man, when you hear that, you plan the percentages because we are very analytical. We are very logical. So you plan the percentages. Yeah, she's saying that, but eventually she gonna fall. But a lot of men have ran into a chick who didn't fall, who stuck to the code. Like we had the sex and she just kept going with her life. And every now and again she'll tap back in and, hey, what's up? Can we do it again? Da, da, da. Cool. You do it again. And you think, all right, bet, I got it now. She reached out to me. Da, da, da. And she had sex and continue to go about her life. And you don't.
But is that making her more attractive to him?
Yes, it is. Very much so. Especially if you are a man that are used to getting a lot of women and are used to being able to control women like pieces on a chessboard. When you run into that type of chick, it's like, what the fuck is going on? What am I not doing? And that's what make you go back to the drawing board. So now I'm intrigued by you. And that's not necessarily saying that as a woman, like you have to ghost him or anything like that. That's saying just don't become entitled and become annoying, and your chances will elevate at an exponential pace. But most women tie sex to feelings or tie sex to relationships or tie sex to.
They have a lot of reasons to, though.
Sure, but and that's the mistake that they make, and that's why they end up.
Is it a mistake or is it biological with all the hormones being exchanged during sex? Like, what are we talking about?
I was again. We ain't gonna get into biological. I ain't no scientist. What I'm saying, all I can go on is what I've seen and what I've experienced. And the fact is that the more moderation that you move with somebody, the more power that you maintain, the more leverage that you maintain. Sure. And I say it all the time: relationships are about leverage. A lot of people don't want to admit that. They want to speak in ideals and it's about chemistry. I met this woman, we bonded, we did this, we did that. No, leverage played a role in that. And it wasn't just the chemistry. It's the fact that I feel like as a man, my ego, I feel like I have not conquered her. We spending all this time together. We having amazing times, but she's not available whenever I want her, or she's not chasing me down, or she's not popping up at my crib randomly. She's going about her life. Like I got to reach out to her and make an effort to spend time with her. You know what I'm saying? Compared to a chick that's just constantly blowing our phone up every day. We wake up in the morning, there's 4 text messages. It's, damn, you calling me 3 times a day. What you doing? It's like she could be the coolest person in the world, but you annoying to me. And I feel like I got leverage, and I feel like I could deal with you whenever I feel like it. And that's going to drop your status to me compared to a woman that I'm hitting her up. Shit, she may not hit me for the rest of the day. She may hit me tonight. I hit her at 3 p.m. She hit me back at 9. Hey, my bad. I was caught up doing this. Everything cool? You chopping it up with her. Boom. Great conversation. Get off the jack. Next day, you don't hear from her. 2 days, you don't hear from her. And then Wednesday, she may reach out. Hey, you want to go get drinks?
See,
cool. Let's go.
I can't roll with that. That might work for some dudes, and I don't want to say that doesn't work. But I think to your point, it's kind of like a catch-22. If you're a guy that got options, me personally, and this is just me, and if another dude has the same mindset, great. Like, if after I hit you, you're moving like that, right? Meanwhile, I have other things in the pipeline. I'm not necessarily making you a crazy priority because a part of me feels like you are not someone who's capable of being connected, right? Like you're somebody that was in it for the. That's not That's not entitlement. How's that entitlement?
That is entitlement.
How's that entitlement? No.
That's entitlement, and I'm gonna explain to you how.
Bruh.
Right? This is a chick. This is a scenario we talking about. You hit her on the first night.
I'm not necessarily talking about.
No. That was the subject. That's what we talking about. So you hit her on the first night, and you said that because she's not essentially blowing your phone down, I didn't say she don't have to blow. Okay, or not blowing your phone down, but she's going about with her life.
If she's not responsive,
you are rarely hearing from her.
If she's not, I'm talking about not responsive. Right?
Okay, well, I ain't talking about not responsive. I'm talking about a chick.
You made it seem like, you hit her up. Down. She don't hit. She what?
No, I'm talking about a chick that's just not beating your phone down. She has a life going on. Even with the 3 p.m., 9 p.m. scenario I use. Hey, yeah, I got caught up at work. I was tied up, whatever the case may be. Everything cool. She wouldn't have that conversation with you right there. But you got to earn her. Like, she's not just going to give you, her availability, which is the most important aspect.
And that's perfectly fine. But I guess where my mind went, because I've ran into people like this, is there are women that move in a way where they're just looking for some smash too.
Right.
So in my mind, like, sometimes you have to be able to identify who they are so you're not wasting your time with them.
Sure.
Right? So whenever I've seen a woman who's not moved or swayed by the fact that you smash and they just keep it moving, in my experience, that's often associated with someone where that's all they want. Right? So you don't have to blow up my phone. Right? You don't have to like hit me up with the good morning text every single day. That's just not what it is. But there are certain, if we're playing percentages, if 90 to 100% of the time we're only like connecting because I'm hitting you up, you're not that interested. You see what I'm saying? So again, I can understand why you would say there's like an entitlement if I'm like expecting you to be Google Gaga. No. You got to show some mutual reciprocity or interest for me to be like, okay, I'm going to invest more time in this, or just accept the fact that it was just a smash.
Right. But in the scenario that I just gave, she hit you up for drinks. It was the next week. But she hit you up. Hey,
okay.
Go grab a drink. That's what I'm saying. So it's not like
I missed that.
She's just being evasive, but it's just like, okay, I need to see more effort from you if you want me to take you serious.
I don't necessarily give that person necessarily more value than somebody who's willing to wait and exhibiting value before I smash. Like, to me, I could go either way, right? So
question: if this woman that she's talking about right now, if she's available every time that you hit her, like every time, she's just always available. You can hit her 2 a.m., 1 p.m., whatever. Hey, what you doing? Come over. Hey, what you doing? Let's kick it. Hey, what you doing? Let's talk. And she's always available. She don't have nothing else going. You saying that that's not going to make her less attractive to you?
Okay. See, now you're talking extremes.
No, I'm not.
You're talking extreme.
Because that's the majority of women that you have sex with. That's how majority of them move after.
What?
That's a fact. Rarely ever do you have sex with a woman and she just keep it G after that. That's rare. Most women attach sex to entitlement, attach sex to us being an item now. Even if we're not official, but we have a quote unquote understanding. That's how most women move. So again, most of those women are going to be available to you because they feel like you her man now. You know, we done had sex. We done linked on a deeper level. We done what they call that? So we got soul ties.
So, bro, chill. I don't want no.
That's how most women move. That's real, bro.
All right, listen. At the end of the day, there's definitely a line that is different for every guy. Myself, if I am hitting you up most, if not all the time, in my mind, you're not invested. I got options and I'm going to keep it moving because especially where I live in New York, women move different. And you got to recognize that if you spend your time trying to chase down these women, you're going to spend a lot of time wasted. Right. So that's just in my environment. It might be different in certain other environments, but I do agree with you that, yeah, if a woman has her own stuff together, it might look different in different environments. I just know out here, bruh, you got to read the flags ASAP. All right. All right. I got one more question for you, right? Because I like where your mind's at. And in the spirit of what we just talked about, this person asked this question.
My third question is, if a guy takes long to respond to your text message or does not always initiate a phone call and takes maybe 2 days or more to talk to you, should you be concerned? And would that be a red flag? I feel like sometimes guys always I've heard oh, I was busy working, going through something. I mean, I feel like someone should be able to communicate that with you, but is that a red flag if he's not, initiating phone calls or goes a day without talking to you? Is it something that you should be worried about, or is it minor?
2 days, he not interested. That's just honest.
Oh, is that right?
Nope, busy. I'm a very busy guy. I'm gonna be honest, very busy. But my wife texts all throughout the day, and even I may not be able to get back to her immediately. But a couple hours may pass, whatever the case may be. That's understandable. But 2 days and he don't respond back to your text, you are at the bottom of the priority list. You have zero chance. You are wasting your time. You need to go find you somebody that has a mutual interest in you. Okay. That man does not. We're gonna keep it honest.
Now, if let's say it's not a situation, I do agree with you. If he's not responding, right?
2 days.
Right. If he's not responding, yeah, I get it. That's not even a red flag. That's like a sea of flags. You know what I mean? At that point, you should just get a new phone and just don't even waste your time using that phone anymore. That's dead, right? But let's look at a situation similar to what we were just talking about, right? Let's say it's not the person's responding, right? And she said if the person does not always initiate the calls or the texts, they're not the initiators, to the point you made, at least about if a woman is kind of taking a few days or even a week to hit you up the next time they're free, is that a red flag? If it's a guy doing it, if it's a woman doing it?
I would say no. And the reason I would say that is because, again, just like we spoke about earlier, it depends on the type of guy you're talking about. Okay. Certain guys have way less going on in terms of their interests on the market. I'm saying, so he's gonna be way more willing to hit you back, within the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. But if or the initiation, he has way less going as far as market value. So he's not texting a lot of women, he's not dealing with a lot of women, he's not going on a lot of dates, he doesn't have a lot of offers. So he's gonna be way more willing to initiate conversation. But guys that are out here getting to it, it may not even be women. It may just be his career. He out here getting to it. I got this meeting over here. I got this brand meeting over here. I got a meeting with my endorsement company over here. I'm doing this. I gotta shoot this content for this. I gotta do this photo shoot for this. So it's a lot of different things going on. And I may not saying I'm not thinking about you at all, but the time I may thinking about you, it may be 3 a.m. I may be up editing my pod, and damn, I wonder what she doing. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. I know you sleep. So it's okay, I just hit it when I wake up. Yeah. But when I wake up, I got to do this photo shoot. This person called me, hey, bro, can you jump on the pod? Hey, or can I do this? You know what I'm saying? Hey, this clothing meeting, I got to go sit. So a lot of men, especially highly desirable men, they have a lot going on.
Yep.
And when you are signing up for a highly desirable man, you are signing up for the fact that you're going to be second priority initially. And that got to be something that you cool with. So do I feel like that's a red flag? No. 2 days? Hell yes. But as far as them initiating, I mean, because to be honest, I don't even like texting like that. So I rarely initiate conversations, even when I was single. I didn't really initiate conversations, and it ain't nothing against them. It's just I got a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's I don't really think whatever. But I mean, a man that interested in you, he gonna initiate it sometimes. But you may have to initiate most of the conversation for some dudes. That's just real. And it doesn't mean that he values you any less. That just mean that's how that man life going. And if you want to be a part of it, you gotta jump on the ship and sign on to what it is that he got going, or move on to somebody that has way more time to be attentive to you.
They're not gonna be attracted to that guy.
You already know. You already know.
It's he's got all the time in the world. I don't want to deal with him. What?
Fact.
Nah. Yeah, but so think about what you said though. You said you don't text that much, right? So the person might have to be the person to initiate text messaging, right? But doesn't that kind of I don't want to say contradict, but it kind of challenges the idea of like a woman to play it cool. Because at the end of the day, if he's not into texting and she into playing it cool, nobody texts.
Right.
Now,
but the reason that I would say that it's not contradicting is because, again, if we talking about a highly desirable man,
okay,
right, that's the equivalent to a highly desirable woman at the end of the day.
What is
so if that like a highly desirable man?
Okay,
like he's the equivalent to a highly desirable woman. So it's not necessarily saying that that I'm not interested. I just may not notice you. I may not see you. Like I don't have time to really see you like that. And if it's that woman, just like in the scenario I gave, she has a life. She's doing things, whether it's with her family or she going on this date or going on that date, and she got this situation set up for her brand, for her lingerie line that she got, or her makeup situation she got going, whatever the case may be. She may have a lot going on. So if I'm the man and I'm pursuing her, and I understand the fact, okay, this is a highly sought after woman, this is a woman that has a lot going on, I'm signing up for the fact that I'm not going to be the number one priority. The same way in the scenario that I just gave. If you're a woman and you running into a man that's highly sought after, and a man that's out here getting to it, you got to understand you are not going to be the highest priority. So you got to be cool with that. But again, as a man, I think it's different because of how our ego set up. Women don't have as much ego. Women will be way more willing to chase you for real, if we're going to be honest. But as far as like a man, like when we have, especially on the one night stand stuff that we was talking about, we done had sex with you and you are being evasive or seeming evasive. You're not necessarily being evasive, but you seeming evasive. Like you're not reacting like most women that we done had this situation with reacted. And I feel like just you being different is going to intrigue us. You know what I'm saying? In comparison to the opposite way around, but it's because of how our egos are set up. But women are the same way. If you look at a chick, say for instance, an Instagram popular chick, she getting 10,000 likes on every pic, 500 comments, whatever the case may be. It's a million dudes in her DMs that's telling her every morning, hey, you are beautiful. Hey, you are this. Hey, you are the goddess. You are queen. Oh my God, you're just so cool. I like your vibe. I like your energy. All that bullshit they be saying. But that's not what's going to stand out to her. As a man, if you want to stand out, you need to come a different way. You need to find a way to stand out. Whether it's be like, that little outfit was cool. I like the one you posted last week better. She gonna be like, who the hell is this? Bucking the system and going against the grain. You're gonna stand out to her more. So because people have some kind of chip in our head to want to please as many people as we possibly can. I hate that, but it's reality. He's going to be like, damn, yeah, these 10,000 people telling me how gorgeous I am every day. But this one dude, the audacity to say I look better last week than I did this week.
I mean, that kind of goes without saying. But even in that way, like you're still engaging, right? I'm looking at the instance like, okay, let's say you got a highly desirable man, highly desirable woman, right? The guy who's highly desirable don't text that much, or he don't have time to text. Right? Highly desirable woman, right? At least perceptively, she's not going out of her way doing X, Y, and Z to get your attention either. Now,
hey, question. Okay, I'm gonna translate it into the scenario that I just gave. Right? The same chick, she getting 10,000 likes on the pics, 1,000 likes on the comments, whatever the case may be. But more times than not, the guy that she's very interested in, do you think he's commenting on pics?
Of course not.
And liking every pic?
Of course not.
And do you think that plays a role in why she likes him? Regardless of how minuscule.
Listen, at the end of the day, I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. But there's going to come a point in time, depending on the individuals, even if they like each other, somebody's going to have to buckle.
Of course.
Right? Somebody's going to have to like initiate the exchange because
and why? Because leverage is important here, right? Whoever has the least leverage is going to buckle, which goes back to what I said earlier about leverage being important. That's just how it is. Like, again, it's not ideal. We would wish and hope that it wasn't that way, but that's how it is.
Yo, that smirk on your face, it just kills me. It's like, we just hope and wish. Listen.
It would be nice if it wasn't that way, but that's how it is. Leverage plays a role in these things.
So everybody get leverage. Make sure you popping. Make sure you get your glow up before you start trying to figure out who likes you. So that way you have enough leverage to get what you're looking for.
Leverage and finesse. Shout out to Smooth.
I got plenty more questions that I just don't have time to get into right now, but I'll surely dig into them on another time. What you said was profound. I appreciate it. Even though we might have disagreed on a few things, I think it was important to see those points of views. And I hope everybody was able to learn a little bit from it, especially in a world where, you know, there's a lot of misinformation, especially when we talked about earlier regarding the emotions of men, something that's not really, for lack of a better word, expressed the right way, so that way we can really know how to engage. So I appreciate that. So if you can kind of let everybody know how they can find you, what you got going on in the future, I think they'd like to know.
Trill AC everywhere on Twitter, Instagram, Krew season. Make sure y'all follow the pod, subscribe to the pod, like, rate, review, all of that good stuff. Subscribe on YouTube. We on all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, anything that you can name up, man. Check in, tune in. We appreciate the love. And yeah, bro, it's an honor as always, man. Disagreement, I feel like, is very healthy. I feel like, you know, steel sharpens steel. So I'm always interested in having these conversations we can build on and, you know, progress us further as a culture. So salute to you for that.
Right on, man. Thanks for coming. My name is Jeff Damisse. This is the Introspect Club. Make sure you tune in next time for the next episode. Until next time, folks. Later, bro.